Well, hello there. Welcome to Pretty Girl Loves Trap content. This is my review for Bel-Air Season 1, Episode 2, Keep Your Head Up, okay? I wonder if that's a homage to Tupac, you think? Will Smith, Tupac? Maybe not. Just kidding, y'all. So this episode was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So let's get into it, okay? So we pretty much pick up from the last episode 1, okay? So Aunt Viv is viewing footage from the fight that was put on social media between Will and Carlton, okay? And Will put a little hurting on your boy Carlton, okay? So of course, they're pleading their cases and she sends them to their room, okay? And so she talks to Uncle Phil about the situation. And Uncle Phil had to pretty much initiate some damage control with Connor's family, okay? And he's upset. The image that, they portray as a family is very important. He is running for district attorney. So they low-key have to be squeaky clean. And Will, he's not really at fault with anything that he's doing, but it is perceived that he's causing all of this drama. Okay. And so Uncle Phil, he's like, yo, we need to send him to either boarding school, military school, culinary school, NT school, but Bel-Air, okay? And away from here because he is causing me stress up in my chest, all right? And so Aunt Viv, she was trying to, of course, calm him down. And she says, hey, let's go talk to Will. And, based on his response, we'll figure out our next move. So they enter Will's room and they find him crying. And he reveals that his best friend was shot. Okay. So, of course, their whole plan for this talk is really not necessary at this point because they know that, it could have been Will. And if he goes back to Philly, he could be next. So they pretty much just comfort him at that time, okay? So, y'all, it's the next morning, and Hillary, she is chefing it up in the kitchen, and her and Vivian, they're pretty much debating on her quote-unquote brand because Aunt Viv pulled some strings to get her an interview with that company. It's called Haute Cuisine, okay? The real bouginess of it all. But, she's a little annoyed because she wants to, appeal to the masses, not necessarily people who is of the same status. She wants to, relate to everyone. And I appreciate that about Hillary, okay? So, Carlton and Will, they continue to bicker, and Carlton pretty much leaves Will out to dry and tells him that that he needs to find his own ride to school. And I'm like, oh, that is petty. There are no buses or trains around there. Like, what is he going to do? But you know what? Aunt Viv, she came through in the clutch, okay? And I guess they have some spare vehicles. So she let Will drive one of the Lexuses to school. I was like, okay, that was probably a good idea that Carlton left Will for dry, okay? So Will pulls up at the school and, he's all swagged out. He had his, Philly hat, swagged out and cocked to the side. He has his, Beats by Dre. So he's looking real swaggy, and he proceeds to leave a voice message on his best friend's phone, and pretty much just updating him what's going on and, letting him know that he misses him. I'm like, oh, this is so cute. I really love the camaraderie, guys. So, y'all, Will, he goes into his first class and he notices no one is there. So he's like, okay, what's going on? So I guess he waits for a few minutes. And so he proceeds to go down the hall and tries to open another class, which is empty. Security stops him and he immediately gets, PTSD because any altercations or any issues with authority is triggering him at this point. Okay. So I'm not sure why Will didn't explain the situation to the police officer. Well, actually, the security guard. But I guess, with his triggering and whatnot, he just wasn't in his right mind. So it becomes a little cat and mouse chase. And they actually interrupts Carlton's speech. Okay. He is the class president. They are actually juniors in high school. And Carlton, oh my gosh, Carlton is stressing me out, y'all. he is top tier asshole, okay? So he pretty much embarrasses or tries to do his best to embarrass Will, pretty much by alluding to the fact that Will is underprivileged youth and he's pretty much at Bel-Air for charity and charitable purposes, okay? So Carlton, he starts this new initiative for the class to sponsor underprivileged high school. So this will be interesting because I do feel like they will have some scenes where they will go to like Crenshaw or, one of the other high schools in the hood, giving me real like all-American vibes, okay? So we see Uncle Phil, okay? He is having an interview with Big Boy, who is a staple in radio in LA. And he's pretty much trying to, see what Uncle Phil is all about, okay? You are running for district attorney and you need to be about the black folk, okay? So, there are callers that are calling in and they actually seem more focused on how much Uncle Phil makes financially, which makes Uncle Phil a little uncomfortable since, he wants to focus on his agenda and the issues at hand. So it seems like they get nothing really accomplished at this radio station, all right? So this will be interesting, but I love Big Boy in this scene. So y'all, Will, he's at school and he approaches the basketball coach and, the coach is not impressed about Will and who he is, okay? He's very turned off about the fight and he's pretty much making Will try out. Like he's a little scrub freshman, okay? And, he's pretty much trying to deter Will because he thinks Will is full of drama. And Will was like, bro, I was scouted, okay? Like, are you serious? You want me to try out? But, okay, I'll try out. And you guys will be begging me to be on your team when I do, all right? So, Lisa, okay. This is so interesting, y'all. So Will goes to Lisa, in the hallway, and he was like, hey, Lisa, you need to clear my name because Carlton is telling everyone that he, quote unquote, accidentally pushed me in the pool and, I got aggressive and that is not the truth. You know it. He pushed me in the pool on purpose. And, she was like, hey, regardless if I would try to clear your name, it probably won't work because his word is like gospel here, okay? It seems though Carlton has everyone in the school in a trance, okay? He has the whole school drinking his get out tea, okay? And I can't wait until Will shines and prove that Carlton is a lame mo, okay? So Hillary, she is auditioning for this culinary company and, they enjoy her food, but they have some requirements, okay? She does not need to add as much seasoning and spices as, she prefers. And, the clothing that she is wearing, it's a little too loud for them. So pretty much they want her to pretty much change her entire being to be a part of their organization. And they also had a little, tidbit pretty much saying like, hey, your family is not our target audience. And I was like, ooh, okay, the racism of it all, but yeah, that's quite common these days, okay? So, of course, Hillary, she's in a bind because she, of course, has this opportunity, but she wants to, quote unquote, keep it real, all right? So, Will is in class and he meets a new friend who's Tyler. Seems like he's cool. He gives Will props for punching Connor in the face because he's been wanting to do so since the 6th grade. But I could see I'm really gonna like Tyler. I feel like he's gonna play like I think the cornflake role in the original Fresh Prince, which it was somebody Will was cool with and fellow classmates. So I think that is the role Tyler is going to be playing. So, it's lunchtime and Connor shows Will that he has a restraining order against him, okay? Will has to stay 10 feet from him while he's at school and 50 feet away everywhere else. And I was like, oh, a restraining order? Like, okay, that is real, Caucasian of you, but what have you. And so Carlton, he challenges Will to a duel, okay? He was like, put up your dukes. But Will, he, does not take the bait and he declines because he knows he could beat Carlton. But he says, hey, I'm going to lose either way. If I win, I'm still going to lose. I'm going to get in trouble. So yeah, go on, bro, with all that. Okay. So Will, he calls Jazz to meet up for a one-on-one game. And Will is underperforming, okay? He's having flashbacks and clear signs of PTSD, okay? And he pretty much tells Jazz, like, hey, I haven't touched the ball since my little altercation. So he gives Jazz a little background on what happened. And Jazz gives him some sound advice and pretty much tells him, yo, bro, get out of your head, all right? So we see Uncle Phil and Jeffrey. Okay, I really like Jeffrey's swagger. Like, he's a little cool dude, but I do feel like something is with him or Uncle Phil. Like, I don't know, somebody got a little secret. I mean, maybe it's like, TV trauma that I'm going through where I feel like everybody has an ulterior motive, but I'm going to keep my good eye on Jeffrey and Uncle Phil, okay? But of course, Uncle Phil, he's confiding in Jeffrey about Will and the whole situation. But Jeffrey is putting Uncle Phil at ease, or at least trying to, and pretty much says, hey, I've been observing Phil, and I can tell the boy is trying. So just give him a chance. So Uncle Will sees, Laura, did I say Uncle Will? Uncle Phil, and, he sees Will on a basketball court. And, Will confides in him in regards to the situation, what went down in Philly. And, Uncle Phil is trying to reassure Phil, Lord, bear with me, guys. But Will said a perfect line. He said, the system isn't broken. It's designed to do what it's doing what it's designed to do, pretty much. And I mean, that's debatable, guys. I mean, I honestly feel the same way. And we're not going to get too deep up in here, but the little thing called slavery, okay, and Jim Crow and redlining and all that stuff. Yeah. We have a lot of systems in place to keep African Americans down. But yeah, that's what, Will, he's pretty much stating like, hey, we've been dealing with a system that has been far, 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 far crooked, okay? So Carlton, he's peeping the interaction between Uncle Phil and Will, and he is jealous, okay? He is jealous, and I just hope, he's already kind of went far, but Carlton, Lord, I just want to strangle him. But you can see the internal rage in him. So yeah, you could tell he has something up his sleeve, and I am scared to see what it is, all right? So Will, he FaceTimes his best friend, before school, and they actually have a conversation. I was good to see him. He said his, shot on the shoulder was just a little flesh wound, so he'll be all right. And he seems to be in good spirits considering the entire situation, okay? So, at school, Lisa and Carlton, they talk, and Carlton has the old booger sugar residue on his nose. I'm like, bruh. And he told Lisa, like, hey, I'm stressed out with the Will situation, so I just dabbled in, a little bit before school. And she pretty much called Connor his pusher. And she also mentioned we've been through a lot. So it seems though, I kind of feel like Carlton's a lot, okay? And I feel like Lisa was trying to hang in there and be supportive to him, but it just got to be too much for her. And she politely dipped out of the situation, which I'm not mad because he seems like a whole lot, just a small package with a whole bunch of insecurities, okay? So Will gets pointers from Tyler about the coach. And he pretty much tells Will, like, hey, he's, a no BS coach, just do your work hard, and don't do any showboating and celebrating when you make a shot. So Will's taking mental note of that. Of course, being the person he is, that's hard to do, but to get on the team, you just got to switch up your flow a little bit. So Hillary, okay, she is live on Instagram and she airs out the company, okay? Haute cuisine is not for the people, okay? They ain't for the melanin, all right? And you could tell after she ends her live, she kind of had a little bit uneasiness in her face. So I could tell she feels like that wasn't necessarily the best decision to make, but something she felt like she wanted to do at the time. But of course, probably going to be some blowback because, her mom hooked her up with the interview. So we see Will. He impresses the coach, okay? And he makes the team. And I was like, okay, I'm excited, Will, okay? But it shouldn't have been a hard thing to figure out because, he's been scouted. He's D1. Like, y'all need him. Stop playing, okay? So Will sees Carlton in the locker room soaking in ice. And Carlton, he's pissed. He's like, what are you doing here? This is only for athletes. And Will was like, I am an athlete, okay? And so Carlton is pissed because Will made the team. He thought the fact that the fight blew up, he thought that would disqualify Will from making the team. But Will was like, I am too talented for that. So, of course, Carlton is getting more saltier by the minute. Oh, my God, I'm so aggravated. Have you guys seen the cartoon Recess? Carlton reminds me of that snitch from Recess. Like, drop down in the comments if you've ever seen that cartoon. It was probably like from the 90s. But yeah, Will's pretty much reassuring Carlton, like, hey, there is a new sheriff in town. And once I, make my mark on this school, they're going to realize you're a fake, you're a phony, you're a fraud. And yeah, you will be exposed, all right? Just like some film. So we see after school, the security officer pretty much approaches Will and was like, hey, let me see your bag. And I'm like, oh, Lord, are we really going there? So he finds some drugs and he takes Will into the office. And so everybody is looking and seeing what's going on. Even Carlton and Connor. And Connor tells Carlton, I told you I'll take care of him. I'll handle him. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really, Connor? Y'all, this is going to be a hot mess. But yeah, I really thought, honestly, Carlton was in on it. But you can kind of tell he was a little surprised. So, yeah, we'll have to stay tuned to what's going to happen. But I'm really enjoying this episode. I really feel like Will shaking up this family dynamic with the Banks is really going to challenge them in how they feel they are placed in the world. In addition to other things that's going on in their lives. We see the father, he seems a little bit disconnected with the Black vote. We see Hillary, she's trying to make her mark, but she is not willing to compromise her stance on things. And, Ashley, of course, she's young. We don't see any conflict at this time, but I'm sure we may come up with something soon. But yeah, and we're going to see Carlton. He's probably going to be changing a little bit once he get, out of his ass, of course. But you guys, I am enjoying this show, but drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this episode. Please like this video, subscribe, and I will see you guys for episode 3. Toodles.